Hello, what's up, everybody? How's it going today? Let's see who was first. Let me also get the chat up on here too. Keith Horner, congratulations, you were first today. Welcome to the stream. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's week is going well. Quite a few folks in chat already. Good to see. Hello, everybody. Mahad, hello, welcome to the stream. First question I see here is, what is the new course? Yeah, so that's, we'll talk about that in a second. A few things planned for this stream. It might be a quicker stream or a shorter stream because they're not going to be doing any Sherlocks today, unfortunately, but we do have some exciting stuff in the pipeline. The first of which is, we are releasing a course today. We call it a course. It's kind of like a module within our the forensics pathway that we're building out. But that would be the Windows Evidence Acquisition and Triage course. Let me maximize this here. So this is sort of our second in the iteration of the Windows Forensics pathway that we're building out over the rest of the year here and probably into next year with a bunch of different courses or modules, as we call it. And so this is the Windows Evidence Acquisition and Triage. It's kind of the nice follow-up to the Introduction to Windows Forensics course that we released last month, where we hint at the end of that course, some ideas around how do we go in and collect evidence, what's the proper way and the procedure, sort of the strategy to do so, and the different scenarios we might end up in, and how to make proper decisions. This course kind of extends that and gets more into the triage side as well. And so there's a little bit of recap from the ending of that intro, and then we get into a lot of the triage stuff and using some industry standard tools to make quick, fast, targeted collections that are basically going to help us move through the rest of this learning path, where we get into the deep dive of some of those forensic artifacts that we're collecting. And so we go into, how do we actually make decisions when we're triaging evidence? What does that look like in terms of how do we check for things like encrypted file systems? How do we grab memory off of a system? How do we do a full disk image? And then we really focus on what is really the standard these days, which is doing more of a collected, targeted triage, especially in sort of the DFIR incident response side of things. We really want to, we don't really have much time to be going in and doing full disk images of, hundreds or even like 10s, 20 systems. And so how do we do that in a targeted way, even in a scalable, automated, and remote way as well? And so that's sort of what this course aims to fill out, that side of the forensics path. And then we can get into all of the fun deep dive artifact parsing and making sense of intrusions and whatnot in the follow-up courses, which are next on the list for this pathway. So do check it out if you did enjoy the Introduction to Windows Forensics course. I would say it's a nice kind of logical follow-up to that, and it's going to set you up nicely for the remainder of the pathway. So that's the main course news at TCM this week. We also have a special guest joining us, which I'll bring in momentarily if he's ready. But before we do that, I'll just check on some comments here. How am I doing? I'm doing well, thank you. Pretty much preparing for the CTF we're running at Defcon. So it's been pretty exciting building some of that out. Any idea when the AI hacking 201 or 3.1 courses may come out? No, I'm not sure. That's not really my wheelhouse. But I believe Andrew Bellini is doing a little bit of additional work with TCM to sort of build some of that out. I'm not sure what the specifics are, the timeline, unfortunately, but maybe some info will be released by TCM. Are you releasing a new Blue Team roadmap? I think we have a roadmap, but I'm sure as stuff gets updated, or additional courses get brought into the academy side, some of those roadmaps that the team puts out will be updated. But yeah, the forensic stuff would do quite well on the Blue Team side, building out some of that specialized DFIR capability. Where do I start as a total noob that wants to learn ethical hacking and pen testing? Well, you're in the right spot. Practical ethical hacking course is a great way. Um, even the free courses that TCM's put up on YouTube. Just search for practical ethical hacking on YouTube. You'll find like the really long course. Forget how many hours it is, but again, it's like the majority of the old PH course, and so you can get a really nice kind of introduction there. Love those IEMs. Thanks. Yeah, they're nice. They're not too bad. I go through them like super fast, but I think these ones are better quality. I forget the brand, but they've been serving well. Where does forensics and detection intersect? Good question. I mean, it really depends on the kind of approach you're coming from, but like a general kind of intersection is forensics is kind of like a superpower in the sense that allows us to kind of go back in time during an intrusion. So, we could forensicate a system and pull out, a handful of indicators of compromise from doing deep dive forensics on a system, whether it be, evidence of execution and the specific IOCs related to that, different programs that were run, or looking at, file and folder access, where maybe an attacker stashed files or exfiltrated data from, or, created their archives, and, what they called those archives and what tools they used. And so, again, pulling out a lot of that kind of behavioral TTPs from what maybe an attacker did on the endpoint, and using that as detection opportunities, right? So, if you find a needle in a haystack, you find something interesting that points to, some kind of attacker technique or capability or behavior, your end goal is you want to turn that into a subsequent detection so that you don't have to go, with a magnifying glass on the endpoint and use up a lot of valuable time to find that same thing again. And so really that's sort of the general kind of investigative approach there. And that's, the case if you're doing forensics, or, even if you're just triaging a system or just doing like a kind of baseline investigation, even as like a SOC analyst investigating a system. So whether you're doing it in a sort of really deep dive state when you're focusing on, one or two systems and really trying to forensicate it, or if you're trying to do things at scale, the idea is you never want to kind of do the same hunt twice. You never kind of want to respond to the same exact detection twice, or, find the exact same kind of needle in the haystack. You want to build out detections using some of those indicators that you found. All right, let's see. I see Carlo in the backstage here. Let me see if he's good to be pulled in. Maybe not. I don't see a camera on. If you can hear me, Carlo, let me know in the chat, and I'll pull you in whenever you're ready. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm gonna drop in a special guest for this stream. Let me hide the chat. It's like covering you. Hey, Carlo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, good to go. Are you good to be thrown into the stream? I just kind of pulled you in here.
I am. I'm remote at this point. I had to move, but I think I'm coming through. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the video's a little choppy, but you can sound good. I can hear you.
That's good. Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Andrew, for bringing me in. I'm very excited to be part of.
Oh, we lost you. All right. We'll try again momentarily if things improve. But you started your introduction, and we lost you. But anyways, that's a very quick intro to Carlo. We'll see if his connection improves. We can bring him back in. But he's been doing a lot of work on the CTF side. He recently joined the team maybe a month or two ago, and so he's been doing a lot of work on the content creation side. We're really excited to have him. He comes with a ton of diverse experience, so excited to see what sides of the academy is going to help build out and update. But we'll see if we can pull him back in later if he if he gets back or is in a better spot. But Yeah, you'll see a lot more of him. I think he'll be starting to stream more on the TCM side, and he has a lot of fun plans for Defcon. So if you are at Defcon, you'll definitely get to meet him, either at the TCM booth in the Noob Village. I think he's doing a lot of stuff at the Blue Team Village as well. He has quite a lot of experience running CTS, especially at Defcon. So when he joined the team, it was a really good spot because we were sponsoring the Noob Village. We are, and we had the opportunity to build out a CTF that'll be run at the Noob Village, which he's done a lot of fantastic work on that side of things. So I unfortunately won't be at DEFCON, but a majority of the team will, I would say. I think it's we're bringing in more TCM folks than that have ever gone in the past. So we're going to have quite a cool presence there. I'm sure they'll all love to meet you if you are at DEFCON. Let us know if you are. It'll be really cool to have them meet up. We'll have a booth there too in the Noob Village. There's a few other questions I saw. But hopefully Carlo can join because I don't have many other exciting announcements other than the course, but we can talk more about that, or you talk a little bit about DEF CON. I'm not going to be there, so I don't have the inside scoop. But is this a natural progression after SOC skills? I'm assuming you're referring to the forensics pathway. I would say, like, if that's your interest, it is a natural progression. But you know, it's not something you have to go down. It's you know, again, there's kind of like a baseline level of knowledge on the blue team side. A lot of that kind of feeds into, you know, SOC analysts and different kind of you know, triage kind of you know, those kind of more entry level roles. I wouldn't say they're entry level. They do require quite a good amount of skill, and to be a good SOC analyst, you have to have a really good investigative skill. But that skill can lead you down many different paths as you begin to specialize in the field. And so forensics is one of them. You know, in various parts of that pathway, we're covering more traditional side of forensics, where you know, you might be doing, you know, internal kind of cases, you know, different HR cases or legal cases, where you're really trying to piece together what a user did on a system, you know, what files maybe they touched or looked at or viewed or downloaded or maybe exfiltrated out. There's also, again, the sort of DFIR side, where you're kind of using forensic skills in the incident response context to perform more of a deep dive analysis and figure out the root cause of maybe an intrusion or, you know, tracking an attacker. And so those skills really go hand in hand well. It's just a matter of if you're going down the more traditional forensics path, more of a legal kind of context, or if you're you know, chasing an adversary through the network. You know, a lot of those skills really go hand in hand. On the sort of adversary side, it's usually a lot quicker, and so that's why we get into things like doing fast triage, evidence collection and parsing and analysis. Doing things at scale is really important to help move at the speed of the attacker, especially if you're in a large enterprise. So how can you not only like forensicate a system, but, you know, look at you know, 10 or 100 systems at scale, kind of in a funnel approach, and find evil from very zoomed out, and then zoom in when you need to. And so, yeah, like DFIR is a fantastic kind of logical progression if you do enjoy the investigative work in the SOC. But, you know, you can also go down detection engineering, or, you know, security infrastructure, or cloud security, or you know, the sort of more architectural side of it, or the more engineering side of it, being like a SIM engineer and actually like working the stack of different security tools in your environment. There's definitely a lot of opportunities on that side of the coin as well. So it really just depends on if you want to be more of an investigator or more of an engineer kind of approach. And again, there's also different avenues you can go down. There's, you know, once you sort of have your foot in the door, it's really just a matter of where your interests are. Free sources. I want to learn network. Yeah, I mean, I would check quite a few of the free courses on TCM on the free tier. Again, completely free, and a lot of them, especially the practical security fundamentals course, I believe has a nice networking module. You know, some of the other free courses as well. I think we always planned to do a networking one. I think Keith was going to work on that, but you know, things happened and a lot of stuff came up, and it's just a matter of you know, time and resources. But I think the idea is that the PSEC course kind of goes into a bit of a network foundations background in response to that. And so I would definitely check out that course. There's also like great stuff on YouTube for networking, right? If you just want to look up like Network Plus courses on YouTube, like I think Professor Messer probably has one, and I mean that's more geared to the CompTIA stuff. It'll cover basically everything you need for that cert. But I mean it's good content, right? I would just focus on doing it in a practical sense, and so expanding what you're learning in some of that free material, and maybe building out kind of a home lab environment to practice. In the SOC 101 course, if you're more focused on like intrusion detection and network analysis from that side of things, we also cover how to use TCP dump and Wireshark to hunt down intrusions, and using Snort as well. And so that could be a good alternative as well. Will there be any advanced web pen testing course apart from practical web hacking course from Alex? That I'm not sure about. That'd be a good Megan question, I think, next time she's on stream. I mean, obviously the goal is to continue building out that side of the academy. That's not something I have any hand in on that side of things. And I don't think Alex has any plans to make a new course. And so that might be something where we have an external creator or an additional content creator come on the team to build out. Yeah, Britt answered it better than I could. Possible in the future, but I don't think there's any plans anytime soon. All right, I'm gonna try pulling Carlo in again because I got the ping that he's back in. We'll see how this goes. Hello.
Hey, Andrew, can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So hopefully you don't cut out this time. If you do, I'll continue on. But yeah, no, good to see you. And while you're here, I guess, I mean, kind of introduce you a little bit, but maybe talk about a bit about your background and how you sort of ended up on the team.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you, everybody. Sorry that I'm cutting off. It's my signal at this time, but my path into cybersecurity was a mix of curiosity, service, and hands-on learning. I started getting exposed to IT, system networks, and security problems early on in my career. I kept following the questions that interested me, like how do attacks really happen? How do defenders detect them? And how do we explain this to other people, right? That's one of the things I started learning in my career. And in the beginning, I started doing a lot of blue team work. And that means that I was in security operations, SOCs, incident response teams, DFIR, threat hunting, and detection engineering. What really hooked me was all this investigative side of cyber, right? Taking the logs, alerts, endpoint data, and all this network traffic, and turning that into a story of what happened, right? That's one thing that I learned early on, and that eventually led me into teaching and doing lab design, community work, because I really enjoy helping people make sense of making connections, right? From, I'm learning tools, but I really want to understand how to think like an analyst, for example, right? It's something that I want to share because I worked in security operations for many years, and I love being part of TCM as a content creator because I can actually share my experience and build cool labs for people.
Yeah, that's awesome, and good point at the end there, because some people might know if they've taken some of the live training on the SOC side that you've been doing that for like already. So it was a natural kind of, hey, if you're interested in joining the team full time, you already know a lot of the content, and you obviously have quite the experience to help improve it and update and build upon it. So yeah, I think we're all super excited to have you on the team. I know Megan was super excited when that process was going through, and it was a natural kind of course, yeah. So you've really hit the ground running, and it's been great to see. You also have quite a bit of experience doing some Defcon events as well, like especially with some of the partnerships with the Blue Team Village, and now this year you've been really giving us a hand with our Noob Village CTF. So tell me a little bit about some of the events that you've helped run and the different CTFs you've done at Defcon in the past, and sort of how those went, and maybe some ideas about what to expect at Noob Village this year.
Yeah, definitely, Andrew, and I hope I'm still coming on live here, and especially with TCM this year and the presence that I had at DEF CON. I've been involved at DEF CON for many years. I started when I used to work at Rapid7, volunteering a lot, IoT Village, other villages throughout the years. And that led me to learn, and also started seeing how the dynamic goes into the different villages, what workshops are there, what talks are there, what competitions are there. And this year, I'm very excited about the TCM participating in the Noob Village with a beginner-friendly CTF activities that we're building for everybody. The goal it's always been to make the experience approachable for people, right, who may be attending DEF CON for the first time. I think going to Noob Village is a great opportunity to try their first CTF, for example, right? I was, and I'm still connected to the Blue Team Village, and I'm also helping with the CTF there. I love spending time in different villages because I love seeing what people are putting together for hands-on learning, right? And the community energy is amazing at DEF CON. You meet new people, you try new things, you ask questions, we get involved with competitions this year. I'm helping TCM doing the CTF, some of the challenges there as well, with Blue Team Village doing some of the flags and specific topics that we're doing there with forensics, for example, at the Blue Team Village. I would say that that's the community side of things. At DEF CON this year, I have the opportunity also to do a boot camp for people that are going. It's a 4-day boot camp training. I submitted a proposal early on this year. It's a blue versus red with AI training that is happening also at DEF CON. It's parallel to DEF CON, actually. So there's a lot of things happening there. This is people that I learned at blue things. So,
oh, are we gonna lose him again? I think we might have lost him. Are you still there, Carlo? Nope, we lost him. Well, at least he was here for longer this time, and you got to hear some of the fun plans. I'm super excited for the CTF. We've been working pretty hard on it, Carlo especially. So I think it'll be really cool in the Noob Village. And also, if you really crush the TCM CTF, you can hop over to the Blue Team Village, where they're also having some events. And so one of the questions I was going to ask him is what advice he has for people going to DEF CON for their first time. I've certainly never been there, so I've heard all the horror stories, but but also extremely fun stories. But I think the kind of pattern that I've seen is that it becomes very overwhelming, and you can't do everything you set out to do. And so just have backup options and really prioritize some of the things you want to see, and just know that you won't be able to see everything. And so but if you are in the area, be sure to check out the TCM booth, because we've brainstormed some fun ideas there. But yeah, let's see what questions we have. If we're able to get Carlo again, I think he's like out on the road, and so that's why his signal's been back and forth. But if we're able to pull him back in, I'll try to do so before the end of the stream. But yeah. Do you think someone can participate in CTF creation when they aren't practitioners themselves? Yeah, I think so. It might sort of depend what kind of challenges you're putting together. There's some things where it really just helps to have those repetitions and that time in the field, based on things that you've seen. But it really just depends. I think, I've seen a lot of people sort of start out with building, because it is sort of a different skill in itself. You're just tying in sort of your experiences and some of the tools and capabilities that you've used, and putting it into a fun kind of challenge, or an interesting kind of challenge. But I mean, I think it really benefits to sort of have that practitioner mindset as you're building out more realistic challenges. Step-by-step roadmap for becoming a red teamer. Not that I'm aware of off the top of my head. I've never done red teaming. But I think the TCM team has put out some different roadmaps in the past that can help you. Yeah, there's a good link there to sort of get a high level view of sort of some of the different options there. But from personal experience, I can't really comment on the the red team side of things. Tom Cruise release. Oh, here's a good question. Have you thought about doing GRC? It seems like a role where cyber specialists retire in when they've had enough of the action and thrill. Yeah, I've also sort of seen that pattern as well. I would say maybe. I mean, I think as you get more experience in the field, it always just sort of leads you into focusing more on risk and more sort of those GRC kind of attributes. As you sort of again spend more time in the trenches. But I don't think I'm ready to be pulled out. In fact, I'm moving to a new role soon where I'll be doing maybe a little bit of compliance, but not really. It's hands-on kind of incident response, field triage, kind of in the weeds. It's just what I enjoyed doing. Maybe if you ask me in 10 years, I'll have a different answer. But I think eventually people will get burnt out. But I just feel like there's so much more to kind of learn and do, and experiences to be had, and it's just sort of fun. I get bored very easily if I'm doing the same kind of repetitive thing, and so if I have the chance to do more, deeper kind of, investigations, root cause analysis, and dealing with different intrusions day after day, it's super fun. It keeps me entertained. Here's another question. I'm not sure if this was the same user, but I would point to that same TCM resource as well. On the red team side, I think there's also a blue team roadmap as well. It'd be great to have a dedicated reverse engineering course soon. Yeah, I agree. That'd be fantastic. Kind of a more of a niche subject, but I think if we can get the right people on that, that'd be an awesome course. Also, good to hear you've enrolled in the SOC course. I hope you enjoy it. Someone was asking in the Discord, I think earlier this week, about we talked about doing some updates, and I think that's going to be something I get to work on over the rest of the year. We'll see how the priority goes, but I'm really hoping to do some major kind of additions to the SOC courses. Not so much that they're super out of date or anything, but I think there's, everything with AI going on the defensive side, and just some new capabilities that we've seen in the wild. I would love to add some investigative kind of scenarios around those. How do you handle the shift work and on-call duties? I find it super rough. Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been more so lucky. I've never really had to do the shift work. I've kind of turned it down in the past, not from the actual companies, but I would just sort of lean towards organizations where I wouldn't have to do that. So I've been kind of lucky in that sense. In my role now, there is some on-call, and that's just sort of the nature of the job, right? If you're doing incident response, if you're doing DFIR work, stuff might happen, and so you can't really be super strict on scheduling. It's just sort of a nature of the beast. And so typically, I mean, every organization kind of does it differently, but I would say the more people you have on the team, the easier it becomes, because the more infrequent those things kind of circulate. But there are times where stuff hits the fan and everyone sort of has to be ready to respond. I mean, when was I was trying to think back to, I think this was like 5 years ago was Log4j already, or Log4Shell, right? And that was, I think the CV dropped on a Friday night or a Friday evening around my time. And so that was like, a few weekends that we lost doing the response for that. A lot of it was trying to get visibility over our environment. That was a really big learning opportunity for our team there, where we were just like, dang, we don't have a software bill of materials. We don't know where we're affected or if we're affected. And so, yeah, that was quite a few long hours responding to that. I mean, we've had a major outage on July 1st, which is our Canada Day. I was like out enjoying a few beverages, so I was not in the correct state, but I had to zoom back and respond. And so, there are cases, I think those are a good case for on call, where it's like, hey, you got to be reachable here. You can't be in a state where you might not be able to do your best work. And so I understand why these things exist, and they can ruin they can ruin some weekends and nights. I think what was worse is, or the worst is, when you're like responding to something and you're like literally up sort of in like a bridge call until like 4 or 5 a.m. and then you have maybe like 2 hours of sleep before you have to clock back in and do the next workday. But I kind of think back to those times in a little bit of nostalgia in a way, because it sucked at the time, but you really kind of build character, and you build I got quite close with some of my colleagues, and fortunately I get to work with them again, so it's always nice to see. Defcon is coming up soon. How are you feeling? Nervous or relaxed? I'm not going to be at DEFCON, but I think Andrew Bellini is doing a presentation at DEFCON. We also have TCM is going to be running the CTF that we've been building, and we have some booths and some exciting kind of side quests in the Noob Village. But yeah, no, I unfortunately won't be there this year. I'm hopefully gonna try to submit for some B-side stuff later this year, though. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, Brit's going to be presenting at Noob Village, I think it is, right? So check out the stage there. So that's going to be super exciting. All right. Yeah, sadly, I don't think we're going to get Carlo back on the stream, but you'll see his face around quite a bit. I think he'll probably be streaming maybe next month. I think we have a stream next week with Megan. She's going to be doing another interview, so be sure to tune into that, and then you'll see a lot more of Carlo. He also is working on some content on TCM. He kind of joined right as we were planning for DEFCON, so that kind of took priority, but you'll see some content coming out from his side in the near future. What skill do you think is undeserved in defensive security? I think it's kind of the same skill that gets lacked in any side of the wheelhouse, and even in, computers and IT in general, which is having an investigative methodology. And it's kind of like a cop-out answer, but I mean, it's, if you've taken anything, our SOC courses or our forensic courses, like anything I have a hand in, I really push for building sort of an investigative methodology. I think it's so important because it kind of fuels everything, right? You can have all the technical skills, you can run whatever command lines and tools you want, but if you don't have good investigative questions and you don't know not only what you're looking for, but what it looks like when you find it and what to then do with that information. I mean, at that point, you're clicking buttons, right? You're pushing buttons. And so I think having the right investigative question is something that's a lot harder to teach someone, because, I could sit down with anyone and show them, here's how you run CAPE, right? Here's how you extract evidence, or here's how you can look through and carve through a packet capture, right? But if you don't really know what you're looking for and how to break down maybe a hypothesis into actionable kind of investigative questions, and also understand the different evidence sources you can turn to answer those investigative questions. And then once you find your quote unquote answers, what do you actually do with them? Do you use that? You do use what you found to zoom back out and come up with more investigative questions based on that information and sort of go through this iteration loop. It becomes really important in incident response when you're trying to scope out an intrusion, right? It's a very iterative process. Same with forensics, right? You don't just really take one look through the data and call it a day. You have to iterate on your findings and maybe use certain indicators that you've found and zoom back out and then hunt across the environment to find more compromised systems and repeat the process. And so that's why IR can take a lot of time. A lot of organizations don't realize that, or maybe they do realize it and they don't care because time is money. But that's where we get into a lot of situations, this sort of whack-a-mole, where we have failed eradications that just cause the attacker to get right back in, or, they were in the entire time, you just didn't find all of their different persistence, or, they were able to easily get back in because a vulnerability wasn't remediated based on the root cause. And so, you get into all these situations where you have this failed eradication, which is devastating because now you just wasted all your time, all your resources, all your money. And now the attacker knows that you're onto them. And so what are they going to do? Well, they're going to change their tactics, right? They're going to change their techniques. They're going to be more stealthy, to continue evading and hiding from you. Or you might have just ticked them off, right? They're like, oh, this team's onto me. Well, screw these guys. I'm going to go in and launch my ransomware now, right? Or before they find me, or I'm going to turn destructive and wipe your entire database, right? So these are things that have been documented, right? These things happen. And so it's very important to not only, be good with the hands-on keyboard, but, that's something you can more or less learn from any kind of training out there, right? Or even just working with folks. I think a lot of the more tacit knowledge is what is truly kind of underdeveloped in the industry. And that's something that I don't really know how to best solve. I mean, I've tried to really put a focus on building an investigative methodology, but I don't think I don't think anything out there is perfect. It really is just a mix of kind of nature and nurture and a lot of that tacit knowledge that you build through experience. And then it's sort of like, how do you build that experience if you can't get that experience? And so there's a lot of those catch-22s. And so I don't really know the perfect way to build out a strong kind of structured investigative methodology. But I will darn sure try to build out a good funnel to do that. What's your take on AI? Will it impact job opportunities for pen testers? I don't really have the best kind of like detailed answer, but my short answer is yes, it will impact job opportunities for, I would say, probably all sides of cybersecurity and IT. I mean, I don't think we fully understand the blast radius of it, but I think it will. I think a lot of jobs will change, but I don't think it's enough to sort of run to the hills. I just think it's one of those things that are going to be a massive change. And the way we look back 5 years or 10 years from now, we're going to sort of think, oh, this is how we did things pre-AI. And now this is sort of the new way to sort of, this role has different kind of functions now or different responsibilities. So I'm not really sure what that's going to look like or what that is looking like. But it's a reality, right? Like even in more what's the word? I guess kind of like organizations or industries that have historically been kind of shy to this kind of technological advancement. They're not shying away anymore, right? Like I've been, dealing with some like public health, kind of like hospital IT security teams, and also government kind of infrastructure. They're not shying away from using AI to expedite their team. And so it's just a reality. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I do know things are rapidly being kind of talked about in boardrooms and rapidly being adopted by organizations of all industries. And so it'll be interesting. I mean, you really can't get away from having a core fundamental understanding of what you're doing. Like a lot of people I talk to that are using a lot of AI in the field, I mean, they're talking about, oh, I manage agents now. That's sort of my day to day. But you can't really do that unless you understand what you're doing at a core level, right? If you couldn't do the job beforehand, AI is not going to magically help you do the job. And so it's really like a exponential kind of augment to your capabilities. And so if you don't have those capabilities, well, that is going to be sort of give a negative exponential. I'm not good with math, but you're severely going to stunt your impact if you're relying on AI. Yeah, that's interesting. The process tree. From there, you can escalate or pivot into other artifacts or sources depending on the investigation. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to look at it. Everything in most systems is going to run some kind of process, right? Malware can certainly hide, but it has to run. I mean, literally, it has to run somehow, and so that can be a really good way. I mean, if you think about like code injection and rootkit analysis, right? Like you're digging into memory, you're looking through processes and drivers, and so that can be a fantastic way to find sort of your first hit and then scope out. In Windows environments, that could be finding a strange account, right? Everything in Windows is kind of tied to an account or a security identifier. And so that can be a great starting point to, hunt through different event logs to see where this account logged in or what it touched. And then sort of, as you said, pivot to different artifacts. I think the key is understanding all those different artifacts. What could show up in a super timeline, for instance, and how do you make sense of each of those artifacts? And then once you're aware, it really becomes easy to just scroll through a timeline and sort of put the full story together. What is the best specialization you recommend? Whatever keeps you entertained and whatever you enjoy. I mean, I've tried to specialize in things that I just don't have much interest in, and you quickly kind of feel burnt out. You start questioning why you're in the industry in the first place, and then you're just like, oh, you know what? I just had to pivot over to something I enjoy doing more. I mean, there was a time where I really wanted to be a pen tester, and so I got the OSCP, checked all the boxes, really focused on it, and then I was like, I mean, it's cool, but it was kind of like, what's that thing where, folks like different travelers will go to Paris because they like have this vision in their head that it's like such a beautiful city and, it's so magical and romantic. And then when they get there, they kind of realize the reality. It's like, oh, I mean, it's just a city with a fancy Eiffel Tower building. I mean, it's nice, but it wasn't what I expected. And so they kind of feel depressed or taken back. That's kind of how I felt with pen testing. I was like, oh, this is not even close to what some of the movies depicted. It's kind of just boring. I'm just running tools, and I mean, there are ways. I mean, granted, I'm kind of exaggerating, but that was sort of my experience. It was not for me. I don't think it's for everybody. As shiny and fun as it looks like from the outside, I just enjoy the kind of the hunt side of things and the investigation. I like kind of cleaning up the tracks and piecing together the story from limited information. I mean, it's kind of like a puzzle. And so really it just depends on your interests, and maybe your hobbies can help you kind of identify what types of activity you enjoy doing more, or what areas of the field you might like doing more. And so that's what my recommendation would be, is not force your specialization based on what might pay the most or what might have the most kind of cushy kind of comfortability, because you probably won't last long if that's your only motivator. Let me see if I can change this song here. That's really annoying. It's like super high pitched. Oh, I guess I just turned it off. There we go. Swashbuckler, hello. Welcome to the stream. I think we're getting close to wrapping it up here. I don't think we're going to pull Carlo back in. I think he might be driving now, but you got a quick introduction to him, you'll be able to chat with him more in the later future. Yeah, truly blue team. Can't help it. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's what I've kind of been accidentally funneled through just because of that's where the opportunities were. But also, I tried to break out. I really tried, and it pulled me back in. We enthusiasts have to give up before AI explodes and end spectator. No, I don't think that's the approach to take. I mean, it certainly is an approach you could take if that's sort of the conclusion you've come to. I mean, I won't knock that, but I do think there's merit in again still learning the fundamentals, because there's, you know, people are trying to make like a big step in terms of you know, starting out and then just leveraging AI. I think you still are going to need to take those steps. And if organizations haven't realized that now, they're going to realize it soon. If all they're hiring are people who are just coming in from sort of an AI background and don't really understand security, I mean, that's where we're going to start to see problems occur. And so if we get to that state where you know, we have a bunch of talented senior level employees, but no kind of juniors or entry levels, I mean, that's going to hit the market, right? That's going to have an effect. You can't just have, you can't just deny folks from entering the field, because I mean, there's an entire reason why we have different levels or different seniorities, and so no, I mean, I would say even if it looks bleak now, I mean, the job market's, I would say, terrible now, at least where I'm from. So as tough as it is, I mean, I think there will be opportunities. I think organizations are going to slowly figure out that they're still going to need to have opportunities for people coming into the industry. And so, I mean, I don't really know. I'm not really a career kind of guidance person. I'm not really an AI enthusiast either. I will use it as my organization sees fit. I'm not really at a kind of management or acquisition level where I'm the one making those decisions. I will just sort of sail the boat as the waves kind of crash. I have more fun doing CTFs than actually pen testing. Yeah, I mean, it's and again, I've never been a pen tester by trade, but everyone I've sort of talked to and have been mentored from and have heard from that side of the thing, they kind of see it as an assembly line. At least that's where it can get to, depending on the organization. And so again, there's always going to be benefits and cons to any role, right? I mean, that's not to say the blue team is sunshine and rainbows, right? It can be. I mean, we talked earlier about how terrible responding at inopportune times can be, and sort of the stress and things like fatigue that you get from being sort of the one putting out the fires. And so I think you really kind of need the utopia is to have a bigger team where you get to get experience in different sides of the wheelhouse. And so you're not just reacting, but you get to threat hunt, and you get to perform deeper kind of root cause analysis and build out detections, or at least work with the detection engineering team to sort of get that side of experience as well. I think everyone kind of needs to have an overall active cyber defense picture, right? You need to know how cyber threat intelligence interacts with your threat hunting, or with your even just your SOC analysts, and how findings from incident response will feed back into threat intelligence for your organization, and how that sort of feedback loop gets built. I think if you're just siloed and you're doing the same thing day after day, and you're not really getting the full kind of picture, you lose sight of what the organization's security posture is there for, right? What is the SOC's purpose? If you don't understand how all these different teams, sometimes they are individual teams, sometimes they're just different responsibilities, but how they all kind of interact. And I think a lot of organizations, at least in the experience where I've been in, that sort of feedback loop hasn't really occurred. And so that can lead to a lot of process breakdowns, and it can lead to a lot of burnout, and just not really having a purpose other than, what it feels like just to be endless waves of incidents. Have you got your GCFA? Taking that next week. So, or when is it? Maybe end of the month, few weeks. We'll see. It's a tough one. Don't know if I have any tips yet, but we'll see how I do. All right, we are at the top of the hour, so I got to hop off, get back to doing some fun stuff. But thanks everyone for watching. If you did get to catch Carlo early on the stream, be sure to say hi to him at Defcon if you see him. But you'll also see him on the TCM channels in the near future. So super excited to have him. Super excited for some of the Defcon events TCM is doing. And hopefully you get to meet a lot of the team there. I will be there in spirit. So thanks everyone for attending. And yeah, I'll catch you next time. I think we're streaming next week, or Megan is, for an interview with, I'm not sure who it is, but all of those have been super exciting and eye-opening so far. So I look forward to that. And then, yeah, I'll see you guys when I see you. So have a great rest of your week.